It's so easy to do. A cyber war would be a very inexpensive war. I mean, Korea has 2,100 hackers. It's a group of government hackers with the capacity to literally take down any country in the world, including the U.S., by any number of ways, hacking into our power grid, shunting the electricity in such a way that all of our transformers burn out across America. Now, we have no electricity. How do you repair it? I don't know. All of our repair tools are electrically operated. Everything goes south. We don't have any electricity to run the plants to create the food and can them and ship them so that we can eat. We don't have the electricity to create fuel from raw oil. We have nothing to run our cars on. We have no lights. We have no heat. Hospitals are down. We have no emergency services. Think about it. Now, there's no nuclear war that could ever achieve that. There will always be pockets of, we would still have something. But no, if hackers really wanted to attack America, a couple of thousand could bring us down financially. Why don't they? We probably have the ability to do the same thing to them. But no, this is, we could let things get out of control, and we've done it because we are lazy. Over half of all smartphones, both iOS and Android, are infected with keystroke logging software. This is a known fact. People pay these pornography sites for the ability to put their key logging software on their phones. How do you think they make their money? It costs millions of dollars to maintain these massive databases and have the bandwidth to disperse this pornography, and yet you don't pay? Yes, you're paying. While you are watching your phone is watching you. This is just a fact of life. The operating system is designed specifically to watch you, listen to you, find out where you are in order to help you. It needs to know who your friends are. It needs to know what you're saying in your text messages. It needs to listen to you sometimes. And so you're looking at your phone and you have all these facilities, but it is the world's greatest spy device, designed as a spy device. Now, there's nothing wrong with that as long as the person spying on you is spying on you for benign reasons, meaning maybe they just want to sell you something. I can choose to say no. But hackers use those same facilities. They are built into the operating system. So if a hacker gets access to those facilities, they may choose to empty my bank account without my permission or knowledge, or to steal my identity, or to start charging things on my credit cards, or if I have a Bitcoin wallet or an Ethereum wallet, they can empty my wallets. This is the facts. This is not science fiction. This is not me being paranoid. The antivirus paradigm is no longer functional. It doesn't work. I said this 10 years ago. And I'm the person who invented it. So people should listen. I mean, if I invented it, I built the first antivirus company, viruses are not the problem. By the time hackers have planted malware in your system, it's way too late. The hackers spend weeks, months, or sometimes years sniffing around in your system, taking what they want before they even plant malware. But you can find the presence of a hacker in your system so easily. Every hacker.
Why should you invest in stocks on eToro?
With eToro, I can invest in stocks with zero.
Has to go through certain steps in order to break into any system and do damage. The first thing they have to do is get through the firewall, and all firewalls have holes. It's impossible to build a firewall that can keep out all hackers. It just can't be done. They have to get through the firewall, and then they have to find out where they are. So what's on this net? So they sniff every device on the network. You have people, I mean, I've even heard people at Google say that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Well, I've never heard anything crazier. It's insane to say, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. We are humans. We are living in an imperfect world. Over half of all smartphones, both iOS and Android, are infected with keystroke logging software. This is a known fact. Every pornography site in the world, if you have ever, I'm sure nobody here has ever looked at pornography, but if you have, then You have keystroke blocking software. How do you think they make their money? See, this is the issue. It costs millions of dollars to maintain these massive databases and have the bandwidth to disperse this pornography, and yet you don't pay. Yes, you are paying. The instant you visit the site, if you have an Android, for example, the site runs a JavaScript which sets the download unauthorized application flag. The very first video that you watch,
go check it out.
you now, because that's a click through. You clicked. You did something. You said, yes, oh, goodness, yes, I'll do that. Downloads, first and foremost,
Anonymous official YouTube
function,
channel.
whether it's an iPhone, a remote jailbreaking program. All can be remotely rooted now. After it's rooted, they download a keylogger, and all this takes just a matter of seconds. And from that point on, somebody...
Warning, as it happens to me. I'll tell you this now. You send two demons, well, there's 3 blokes in flat 7. You're sending 2 blokes in there that don't live there, right? To break in my home during the night when I'm meant to be asleep, to tap me physically. They use mind control technology to do this as well. And you wouldn't believe the video I uploaded, well, the audio evidence. Just go and listen to it. Dig up the history of Freemasons. Dig up the history of the demonic side of life. It is demonic. Goes back centuries. The documents I found from someone else's post with other social media. The whole world's up, you know, in a massive spiritual war, and it's a wonderful spiritual awakening too. And these demons, right, in the souls of men and women worldwide. And it's not just about Freemasons. It goes back to the craft, the demonic craft. In years, you know, centuries. And it's been infiltrated. It's not just ordinary Masons at a certain level. They don't know what goes on at the higher hierarchy. You know, some of them, a 33-degree level. I was married to one in 1994. So, of course, I know a lot of stuff. And I will expose every one of you. And I've got nothing left to lose. You're threatening my life. You want to kill me off? Yeah? You want to take over this physical existence? You demonic entities in the souls of men and women playing in the ordinary so-called life on this earth. And you do these tactics? Don't you think I know what's behind it? You won't kill me off in the sense that my spiritual soul will still live on. I cannot mention certain subjects on this platform, but it's wonderful to see in other social media platforms that people are taking on you demonic entities in the souls of men and women in their bodies, and it's going to be a worldwide collapse. You want infrastructure, you know, you won't even think what's going on. It's no wonder they want me out my flat. They've always wanted me out of here, but even more so, where they deliberately block things. And like, for example, I'm not going to respond. Do you think I don't know what on the bike means? Bicycles, a bike outside, you know, that's met. All these things are dumped. And don't you think it's infiltrated? Everything in society is infiltrated. So, if you're not part of your soldier soul out to the undercover, this is hierarchy, witches, demons, you know the works. And it goes through the bloodlines. So, I'm going to finish playing this audio because you don't have any privacy on this earth. And it's an excellent message out.
Is watching every single one of your keystrokes. Now, people pay these pornography sites for the ability to put their keylogging software on your phones. Why? Well, maybe they're a Bitcoin aficionado, and they're going to say, do you have a Bitcoin wallet like Mycelium or what have you? Yes. Well, they're just going to hang around until you access it and input your keys or your passwords. And the next day, your wallet's going to be empty.
Exactly.
Or maybe you do online banking. All right? You have a password, you have an application.
Don't keep all your cash
The very
in the
first
bank.
time you logged into your bank to check your balance or do anything, they go, thank you very much. And the next
Hey guys, I'm Christy. I'm coming to you from Malta.
day, your bank balance will disappear.
Yeah.
Now, why has this not happened to you already? Because hackers are not stupid. In order to take something, they have to download additional software. If they only take 400 or 500 people's bank accounts in one day, then the next day the white hat hackers are going to say, this is how they did it. Everybody, you can protect yourself. No, they're going to wait until one day this year or next year, and 100 million people in one day are going to have your bank accounts eradicated.
Yeah.
Zero balance, or your identity will be stolen,
That's
or your Bitcoin wallet will be emptied.
That's why they're bringing in the digital currency. Yeah, connect the dots. This is why they're bringing in England a digital coin. It's all controlled. It's not by chance. People mining, thinking, the digital currency, or they're going to make profit. Everything is online with that mining technology. The hackers know this. So that's why people invested in solid, tangible means. And most importantly, investing in spiritual well-being. Finish with the audio. It's excellent.
Or maybe they've been watching your keystrokes to see if, maybe you're saying something to a friend or a lover that maybe could compromise you.
Exactly.
Maybe they can blackmail you. If they get lucky, you might be a United States congressman or a senator. In which case, now not only do they have money, they have power. And the Russian cyber mafia and the Chinese cyber mafia are so powerful, they pay literally hundreds of millions of dollars to these pornography sites to allow them to access your smartphone so that at some point they can utilize that. Now, you said, how secure are they? Well, they're not. They're not. Neither the alt currency wallets or anything else in the cloud. What is the cloud? We haven't thought this through, people. The cloud is a place where I'm going to store data. I don't know what computer it's on or even what country it's in. I don't know who is managing it and monitoring it and controlling it. I don't know what type of security facilities you have. I know nothing. And I'm willing to put my valuable data there? No. Why would we do that? No, if it's something I don't care about, but if you steal it, I don't care. It's a list of books I read. I'll just recreate it from the web. But it's something that matters. It's like saying, we've all agreed now we have secrets. Yes. Why don't you let me keep your secrets? Why should you be burdened with having to keep your secrets? I've got too many stories to tell. Why don't you give it to me and let me manage it for you? Isn't that crazy? And that's what we're doing with our quote secret data. That is data we don't want to have stolen from us or taken or accessed.
All your data. Every single human data, individual on the World Wide Web. I'll replay that in a minute. So, anonymous channel. Help by spreading the message. Alright. It's important to get off the grid as much as possible. And if you're not able to already, then just spiritually prepare yourself for what's already here and what's even worse to come. If you've got any smartphone, try and see what you can do about getting rid of it. And use analog if you can afford it. Look at satellite phones. I know that could be trackable, but that's even better than nothing. Look at alternative methods of communications. Go back to old school of doing things like people did before mobile phone technology, even landlines. Internet gets hacked all the time. And when they're talking in that video of porno or these pornographic corporations having their websites used to traffic, Bitcoin and monetary system and around the world there's this. Yeah. So there's an excellent channel out there. She's uncovered a lot of corporations who's hacking into networks. Not just targeted individuals, just generally. And if you think there's any privacy on this earth, forget it. It is not. And let me just go back to people's really intelligent and awakening. Just walking to an airport or subway, it's crazy how everybody's always looking down. See, you never look up, do you? Look around. Often that you don't care about the right to privacy because you have nothing to hide. That's no excuse, you see. Edward Snowden years ago and WikiLeaks and many people over the years have been warning what is going on. Why do you think the global elite want the electrical cars, the AI, 5G, etc.? Think it's all coincidence, all this technology? Mm-mm. The way spent over, it's just messed up. The grid, hive mind technology, brain interface technology. Where do you think all this technology, military technology, is coming from? Yeah. Old-fashioned pen to paper. Rings a bell, anyone? Anyone remembers how to grow your own food? Anyone? Self-sufficiency? Anyway, let's have a look at the comments. How would you survive without power? How would people survive nowadays without telephones? It's extremely evil. God's judgment will come down on you lot. Every one of you demonic entities and those connected to them, and do the bidding of them. So, you think, oh, don't get me started about neuromonitoring where they hack your brain and try to, the advanced technology is like X amount of years ahead what it's portrayed to the public already. Common knowledge, some of the information already, maybe. I'll replay it from the start without stopping it. No such thing as firewall.
They have application interfaces that let them access your location, your contacts, who you're calling, what you're buying. Why? Because marketers pay a lot of money for that. Once you log on to the internet, your privacy is gone. So you have a choice. Keep your privacy or go, okay, well, I'm going to be very careful about what I input. People ask me for my phone number, I just don't give it to them. Certain information you do not get. And if I cannot get onto your site, then I'll go somewhere else. Why do we accept smartphones that have the capacity to find my location, turn on my camera, turn on my microphone, look at my contacts, see who I last called, find out what I'm buying on Amazon or what have you? Why do we accept that? Because this makes our life easy. I expect everything that I put into the internet to be taken away. If you put it on the internet, someone's going to get it. It's a fact of life. There's no way to prevent it. So what you put into it, you better expect the world to know. So I don't know, I use disinformation. For example, I bought a house in a new place in a foreign country, and I said it was in Dominica. Put photographs in. Well, no, I've never been to Dominica, and I do not have a house there. However, those people who are trying to find me or looking for me, you have to figure it out yourself. Protect yourself by any means possible. Disinformation, no information, limited information. But whatever you put into the internet, it's gone now. People are going to be looking at it and reading it and watching it. Would any government allow Google, Facebook, Twitter that has massive amounts of information on everybody, not just in America, but in the world. Do you think they would allow that just to free go on and on its way? Of course not. Praise the Lord. This is how governments work. You think I'm paranoid? Governments are paranoid. They're all terrified of losing power. 2.5 years ago, someone took 21 million records from the United States Office of Personnel Management. That means everybody with top secret clearances, everybody who has ever worked for the U.S. government for the past 50 years. Good God Almighty. Do you realize what a major coup that would have been in a war? An act of espionage of the scale of which has never been attempted. And it's, some random person in Russia or China probably wandered in and just took it. It's so easy to do. A cyber war would be a very inexpensive war. I mean, Korea has 2,100 hackers. It's a group of government hackers with the capacity to literally take down any country in the world, including the U.S., by any number of ways, hacking into our power grid, shunting the electricity in such a way that all of our transformers burn out across America. Now, we have no electricity. How do you repair it? I don't know. All of our repair tools are electrically operated. Everything goes south. We don't have any electricity to run the plants to create the food and can them and ship them so that we can eat. We don't have the electricity to create fuel from raw oil. We have nothing to run our cars on. We have no lights. We have no heat. Hospitals are down. We have no emergency services. Think about it. Now, there's no nuclear war that could ever achieve that. There will always be pockets of we would still have something. But no, if hackers really wanted to attack America, a couple of thousand could bring us down financially. Why don't they? We probably have the ability to do the same thing to them. But no, this is, we could let things get out of control, and we've done it because we are lazy. Over half of all smartphones, both iOS and Android, are infected with keystroke logging software. This is a known fact. People pay these pornography sites for the ability to put their key logging software on your phones. How do you think they make their money? It costs millions of dollars to maintain these massive databases and have the bandwidth to disperse this pornography, and yet you don't pay? Yes, you are paying. While you are watching your phone is watching you. This is just a fact of life. The operating system is designed specifically to watch you, listen to you, find out where you are in order to help you. It needs to know who your friends are. It needs to know what you're saying in your text messages. It needs to listen to you sometimes. And so you're looking at your phone and you have all these facilities, but it is the world's greatest spy device, designed as a spy device. Now, there's nothing wrong with that as long as the person spying on you is spying on you for 9 reasons, meaning maybe they just want to sell you something. I can choose to say no. The hackers use those same facilities. They are built into the operating system. So if a hacker gets access to those facilities, they may choose to empty my bank account without my permission or knowledge, or to steal my identity, or to start charging things on my credit cards, or if I have a Bitcoin wallet or an Ethereum wallet, they can empty my wallets. This is the facts. This is not science fiction. This is not me being paranoid. The antivirus paradigm is no longer functional. It doesn't work. I said this 10 years ago, and I'm the person who invented it. So people should listen. I mean, if I invented it and I built the first antivirus company, viruses are not the problem. By the time hackers have planted malware in your system, it's way too late. The hackers spend weeks, months, or sometimes years sniffing around in your system, taking what they want before they even plant malware. But you can find the presence of a hacker in your system so easily. Every hacker has to go through certain steps in order to break into any system and do damage. The first thing they have to do is get through the firewall, and all firewalls have holes. It's impossible to build a firewall that can keep out all hackers. It just can't be done. They have to get through the firewall, and then they have to find out where they are. So what's on this net? So they sniff every device on the network. You you have people, I mean, I've even heard people at Google say that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Well, I've never heard anything crazier. It's insane to say if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. We're all humans. We are living in an imperfect world. Over half of all smartphones, both iOS and Android, are infected with keystroke logging software. This is a known fact. Every pornography site in the world, if you've ever, I'm sure nobody here has ever looked at pornography, but if you have, then you have keystroke logging software. How do you think they make their money? See, this is the issue. It costs millions of dollars to maintain these massive databases and have the bandwidth to disperse this pornography, and yet you don't pay. Yes, you are paying. The instant you visit the site, if you have an Android, for example, the site runs a JavaScript which sets the download unauthorized application flag. The very first video that you watch, you now, because that's a click-through, you clicked, you did something, said, yes, oh, good, that's yes, I'll do that. Downloads, first and foremost, a remote rooting function. If it's an iPhone, a remote jailbreaking program. All can be remotely rooted now. After it's rooted, they download a keylogger, and all this takes just a matter of seconds. And from that point on, somebody is watching every single one of your keystrokes. Now, people pay these pornography sites for the ability to put their keylogging software on your phones. Why? Well, maybe they're a Bitcoin aficionado, and they want to see, do you have a Bitcoin wallet like Mycelium or what have you? Yes. Well, they're just going to hang around until you access it and put your keys or your passwords, and the next day, your wallet's going to be empty. Or maybe you do online banking, right? You have a password, you have an application. The very first time you've logged into your bank to check your balance or do anything, they go, thank you very much. And the next day, your bank balance will disappear. Now, why has this not happened to you already? Because hackers are not stupid. In order to take something, they have to download additional software. If they only take 400 or 500 people's bank accounts in one day, then the next day, the white hat hackers are going to say, this is how they did it. Everybody, you can protect yourself. No, they're going to wait until one day this year or next year, and 100 million people in one day are going to have your bank accounts eradicated. Zero balance, or your identity will be stolen, or your Bitcoin wallet will be emptied. Or maybe they've been watching your keystrokes to see if a friend or a lover that maybe could compromise you. Maybe they can blackmail you. If they get lucky, you might be a United States congressman or a senator, in which case, now not only do they have money, they have power. And the Russian cyber mafia and the Chinese cyber mafia are so powerful, they pay literally hundreds of millions of dollars to these pornography sites to allow them to access your smartphone so that at some point they can utilize that. Now, you said, how secure are they? Well, they're not. They're not. Neither the alt currency wallets or anything else in the cloud. What is the cloud? We haven't thought this through, people. The cloud is a place where I'm going to store data. I don't know what computer it's on or even what country it's in. I don't know who is managing it and monitoring it and controlling it. I don't know what type of security facilities you have. I know nothing. And I'm willing to put my valuable data there? No. Why would we do that? No, if it's something I don't care about, but if you steal it, I don't care. It's a list of books I read. I'll just recreate it from the web. But if it's something that matters, it's like saying, we've all agreed now we have secrets, yes? Why don't you let me keep your secrets? Why should you be burdened with having to keep your secrets? I've got too many stories to tell. Why don't you give it to me and let me manage it for you? Isn't that crazy? And that's what we're doing with our quote secret data. That is data we don't want to have stolen from us or taken or accessed.
So there you go. 3 days to go, so.
What's the truth about the Great Reset? You may have heard murmurings of it.
There is a plot in the country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot. 7 days later, he died. The stuff that's going on around us today just doesn't make any sense. And as we go through this presentation, you'll start to realize why it doesn't make any sense, and that all of this is not by accident, that all of this misery and strife in the world today is actually by design. Why is the world divided like this? It is not by accident. All of this is by very meticulously planned action. It is all done by design through the control systems that run our world. All you got to do at all times is follow the money. You'll get to the top and discover the Rothschild banking empire and their cronies, the banking families, and what is often referred to as the royal political elite. These families that control the world did not suddenly come into power in the last 100 years. We are talking about thousands of years of royal bloodline control of the world. The Rothschilds and the other banking families pretty much own all the central banks of the world. This is a shock to the system. The central banks of the world, like the Federal Bank of America, the Bank of England, the South African Reserve Bank, the Reserve Bank of Australia, India, Brazil, all the central banks of all the countries of the world do not belong to the people. They are owned private entities that are controlled and owned by the Rothschild banking empire. And they set the norms, the rules, and the financial policies for the countries, and they lend money to the countries, the governments and the presidents and the prime ministers and the ruling parties of the different countries. And this is why we are constantly trapped in the cycle of debt, because the banks that print our money do not belong to its people. What is money really? Well, money is just an idea. It's a piece of paper. It's a tool of enslavement. And what you will learn here is that money is not something that evolved over thousands of years of bartering and trading as a tool that can help humanity prosper. No, it's exactly the opposite. Money was a tool of enslavement that was conjured up a long time ago and introduced as a complete and whole philosophy and a tool of enslavement. It's just a piece of paper that controls our lives. It burns and disappears. Where did money come from? How did money originate? Very few people are actually aware of this. Well, about 6,000 years ago, the first money appeared in a form of clay tablets. This is during the Sumerian Empire. Well, the Sumerian texts tell us about when money first appeared, and also when the first royal bloodlines first appeared, and we find the emergence of the first kings, or so-called first priest kings. And it just so happens that these first priest kings that appeared out of the blue on earth suddenly created all the banks, they created their temples, and in their temples they started to print these clay tablets, which became the first forms of money. So, in essence, the temples of these first kings that appeared on earth were the first banks from which the first forms of money were distributed to the people. And nothing has changed in thousands of years. This is really important. So, what if I told you that banks create money out of thin air?
Yeah.
Would you be surprised? Well, that's exactly what happens. They have nothing. Money is absolutely useless. It is a piece of paper. It has no backing, and this is why it's called fiat currency, fiat money. It means nothing. It is valueless. It has no value. The only reason it has value is because we, the people, think it has value. And it's given to us as a piece of paper that has some sort of value. And we trade it and use it and go around and kill each other for it and rob banks for it and go to jail for it. It controls our lives from the first moment we are born to the last moment as we die. Money controls our lives. Many famous people and smart people and businessmen of the past have been aware of this for a long time. Like this quote from Henry Ford, for example. He said, "It's well that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. Henry Ford. Many people, many great leaders of the past have resisted money, have resisted the bankers. JFK tried to break America free from the Federal Reserve Bank stranglehold on the people of the United States. This is a quote 7 days from before he died. He says, "There is a plot in the country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot." 7 days later, he died. What you need to know is that JFK actually started to print what became known as the American or the United States note, which was not printed by the Federal Reserve Bank, and therefore taking the control away from the Fed. As soon as they assassinated him in Dallas in 1963, within 2 weeks or so, the Fed started to print the American money again, taking that control back. And this happened also with Abraham Lincoln, who 100 years before that started to print the greenback in the United States, making the American people free of all debt. And the greenback was printed by the government. It didn't belong to the Federal Bank or the Rothschild Empire. This was obviously not liked, and they lost control. This is why they shot him and got rid of him, because he didn't play their game. Who controls our governments? Who controls the bankers? Who controls what's going on here? Many people around the world call these the puppet masters. We don't know who they are because they don't want us to know who they are. Quote from Mayer Amschel Rothschild, the founding father of the Rothschild Empire in the 1700s. He says, "Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes the laws." And that's exactly what has become of the world and our countries. Because through the banking institutions, they control everything. Think about how money and the bankers control all the education systems, the research laboratories, how they control industry, the large corporations. Everything imaginable ultimately goes back to those who control the money. Follow the money and you'll see the root of evil and the root of control as it unfolds around us. Who controls the corporations? Once again, follow the money. Always leads back to the Rothschilds' banking empire. But unfortunately, in our legal systems, corporations have more rights than living, breathing human beings. Think about that. This is unimaginable that something like this.
Buy, refurb, refinance.
And a warning they're coming to children. Certain things in health situation. On the 6th of September in England, they're going to, without consent to the parents, they're going to imply an offer to do certain things to age 12 to 15-year-olds. Oh my God.
Welcome to DIY Shop.
Bloody hell. 1 something in the morning. Right, let's make a note of this. In England, the demonic plan is to make a note of this. Parents not going to be happy. Oh, it's just after full moon as well. Let me just get that quote up. All parents in the UK with children aged 12 to 15 will be offered a certain loan. NHS England Limited Company head office in Leeds. I have the documents. Proof. This is demonic. Where's my documents? It's all office contracts. People need to get educated on their bloody rights. I can't find it. Somewhere. DunandBradstreet.co.uk. They don't care, they're going to go ahead with their demonic plans. Already done certain affidavit and documentation before. Oh, but it's in another room. This is cohesion. And it's just digital, right? Yeah, I found it. Right. It's all contracts. Anyone that's been offered this in England with the monitoring everything I do anyway, so someone's been informed, worked in this, need to look at legalese, Latin words. All school age children aged 12 to 15 years of age starting September the 6th. It's a Monday. And the day after, it's a full moon, it's a ritual. You know, they like to do things, these Illuminati, demonic entities, with or without consent. Children at no immeasurable risk, certain comments on a different platform account purposes. This is going to be a real there's European people putting links in, people waking up. They're using statute law, you see, it's all linked back to the birth certificate. The Crown owns the trust name on that birth certificate, and the parents didn't know. I didn't know years ago. That autograph in that document is signing away the children as property, as collateral. That's meaning, basically. The trust is created two trusts, one public, one private. And unless you claim by the age of 12 or maturity, this is Escovy Trust. I think it's 1966. Ironic that year. Relates to Great Britain, the fire of London, being lost at sea, maritime law. So one needs to really get educated on the knowledge as soon as I talk. Right. So also, yeah, also to lawfully, I'm being honoured to take off the register of that building funded by the public purse, unless it's academy, which is usually set up as a trust, a corporation, and to take them out in home education. But also, people need to look into that. Individuals' circumstances are different in England. You need to really get your paperwork together and document and know how and learn and try and network with others that are aware of this demonic program. Yeah, and someone's posted on this alternative platform that public servants working in children social services, what it's called, is set up as a trust now. Every time the city has one similar set up, they can imply rejection of the offer for one's property, which is one's son and daughter, children, that age, under the age, I suppose, 16 or 18, not an expert in this, will be, may be. I know too well of certain things happened to my own, when I was younger, certain things in the late 90s I was trying to do, but didn't know what I know now. Salary. Yeah, people around the world are getting information out. There's something else also on top going on. It's not just that subject. They're expecting a disaster, natural disaster of some sort to happen as well. Facilities being tendered out for mass body services advertised. For mass body collection in London as well, 2021. They're not theories, they're real listing tenders in place for all of UK. What are they preparing for? We need to prepare ourselves for mass passing away of people. Are they all those that are being offered certain things are going to pass away? Or is it related to civil unrest or food shortages? It could be any of these. What are they preparing for? They know something's coming and it isn't look good. Public contracts, there's few notices of public contracts, Scotland, throughout England as well. Yeah. People not aware. Also, certain things are like certain things may or may not be trackable. Who knows? British Medical. A lot of British Medical Council members, individuals, are also in different parts of the world are speaking out about their concerns. Right, so let me just look at this place. Coroner's body removal contracts. Source Finder Health Sector. Delivery 1st of September to the 31st of August 2020. Cost of value up to 2 million. 28th of June's deadline for tender. Wow. Concepts. coroners, body removal contracts, social work, body transfer services on behalf of coroner, body transfer services on behalf of HM coroner services. In the unfortunate case of a violent or sudden suspicious death, it is the responsibility of the coroner to remove bodies from the scene to a selected mortuary or body storage facility, to include complete an investigation, if necessary investigation. Maximum of 3 providers will be promoted to each lot. The highest. Okay. That's just one area, and this is throughout England. That's on bidstats.co.uk. Oh my God. bits as well. So obviously right, so first of all, in England, NHS England is a limited company. The Dun and Bradstreet company number is this. Anybody in England needs to go onto the website and look up their towns and cities for what's implied to be clinical commissioning groups instead of trusts as companies, but the head office is in Leeds. That's where any offer of medical goods and services is contracted out to every towns and cities in contract terminology. And so I tend to produce as evidence Public Health England. This is public knowledge, you can research this. Right, anything to do with, this is everything to do with contracts and contract law on top. The demonic powers that be don't want people to be educated, and you just get singled out and targeted. Public Health England Limited Company, Wellington House in London. They're Dun and Bradstreet, and there's a postcode. Dun and Bradstreet number is there. Again, there's a website. Any company, public funded, or this is public funded, or private limited companies, you need to research and get these printouts, even though you have these and counterclaim or rebuttals of assumptions or whatever offers might be. We live in a communist state now, literally. So it's paramount to, let me just put this to one side. Yeah. And now also it's called NHS Digital Services. NHS Digital is a limited company and they need to follow their policies and procedures as well. It's all, as I said that video earlier, it's all online or data collection. Let me just make a note of this date. You see, with a birth certificate, one needs to assure in the documents to hold an individual, man or woman, accountable for liability, accountable for any harm taught, really, physical, psychological as well. And so when you look at about the subject authorised, you're autographing as an agent representative for that trust, birth certificate, trust estate creation by the Crown, which is not, many women might not know that they are not the ones to, if they assume that title, whether it's lowercase or uppercase, anything in business and commerce, needs to be extremely careful because everything's digitalised now. So the assumption used to be able to do straightforward rebuttals, assumption, rejection, and offer without dishonour, etc., etc. I've been doing this since 2012, but powers that be obviously ignoring it because of the bigger plan For anyone's waking up to subjects to watch and monitor them, target them, set them up, lie about them, gaslight them, target them, and it's demonic. So, just on the practical level, although you get your documents done, you need to be prepared with if you can get out and bug out in case the civil unrest hits seriously bad. And there's also the comets, the planetary systems, there are extra bodies in the skies, the toxicity, anything, whether it's economic collapse, whether it's whatever subject might be. Not just England, is it? It's worldwide. So I was informed by someone's stream about warning about September, November period and December of disaster hitting. So whether it's a pole shift effect as well, whether it's the Nibiru planetary system and their body of planets and moons, the solar system, well, certain things people have got out. I won't go into all that now. I need to end this stream. And whatever happens, faith is important because there are demonic entities out there will take your soul. Demonic side of life is out there to take the soul of individuals who don't have faith. Lucifer is easier said than done. They are major vibrations because the kill switch unlawfully implied in many areas, many subjects, many areas, and for those that have sold their souls out to the dark side of life, well, they're just going to have to answer to their spiritual soul's going to have to answer to the Maker, our Creator. So, Lord, well, and on a day. And these are companies as business, and it will be obviously people in my situation too. The liability, you see, certain things in the house subject, they will get away with this liability. So if you can invest, of survival things, if you're able to get off, good. First aid kit, military style, if you can find it already, get it and get it delivered and afford to get hold of things like that. Also, there are other certain things you can get. People already bug it out because they know what's going on. In sources, ex-military, who is aware of certain things in different parts of the world, of course. I'm not an expert. Wind-up clocks, radio, first aid, survival things. A lot of this is by force and cohesion. My documents I've already done, cease and desist. Haven't got anywhere. Tried to get the message out to my family members to warn them as well. But they don't want to know in certain areas, certain levels, certain situations. now. I'll just check this way. Thought so. Just doing sound check. Just doing sound check. Right, I'm in the stream now. Just doing sound check. Right, I'm in the stream now. Just doing sound check. Right, I'm in the stream.
Members get sent back to the United States when they die overseas. They come back in a casket with the flag wrapped around it, right? The flag with the 13 stripes. They're in tribute to the 13 foundational colonies.
Yeah,
how many people think about you learn to pledge allegiance to the
God touch the world. But the truth is that, as more founded by my lying to his glory, why yet am I also judged as a sinner? Anybody got a blood sacrifice in this yet? Let's continue. I've got a good thing come. Who's their patient is just?
stuff they feed the children, the same stuff they feed